Dr. Clixthar's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession as he stared at the massive creature thrashing inside the containment field. The Varanthi beast was easily 3 times his size, with scales that shimmered like oil on water and teeth that could tear through reinforced steel. Blood seeped from a deep gash along its flank, staining the pristine white floor of the medical bay a dark purple. "I cannot proceed," Clixthar announced, his translator chip rendering his clicks and whistles into flat, emotionless galactic standard. "The creature is too agitated. The sedatives are not working." Station Commander Yurval's antennae drooped with frustration. The insectoid officer had overseen this research station for 12 cycles, and never had they encountered such a problem. "We cannot let a specimen this valuable die, Doctor. The Varanthi are endangered. There are only 43 known individuals left in the galaxy." Clixthar backed further away from the containment field as the beast roared, a sound that made the deck plates vibrate. "Then I suggest you contact someone else, perhaps the Methodian healers or the synthetic physicians from Vertex Prime." "The nearest specialist is 6 days away," Yurval replied, mandibles clicking in distress. "The creature will be dead in hours." The medical bay doors hissed open, and a figure walked in wearing the simple gray jumpsuit of the station's maintenance crew. Clixthar recognized her as the human who had arrived 2 weeks ago, hired to repair the environmental systems. What was her name? Sarah? Sophia? Something with that peculiar S sound that humans favored. "I heard you've got a problem," the human said, her eyes fixed on the thrashing Varanthi. "I used to be a vet back on Earth. Maybe I can help." Clixthar's translator struggled with the unfamiliar term. "A vet? I do not understand." "A veterinarian, an animal doctor." The human, Dr. Sarah Chen, according to her name badge, stepped closer to the containment field without any of the fear Clixthar felt. "I specialized in large predators before I took this engineering gig." "This is a medical emergency," Clixthar protested, his voice rising. "Not a maintenance issue. You are not qualified." "Neither are you, apparently," Sarah replied without malice. She studied the Varanthi with a professional eye, noting the dilated pupils, the rapid breathing, the way it favored its injured side. "That creature is terrified. You can't treat fear with sedatives alone." Yurval's antennae perked up with interest. "Explain." Sarah pointed at the medical equipment surrounding the containment field, the bright lights, the humming scanners, the sterile environment. "Look at all this. You've got it trapped in a box with strange smells, loud noises, and blinding lights. It doesn't understand what's happening. It thinks it's going to die, so it's fighting." Clixthar's primary eyes narrowed. "We followed standard xenobiological treatment protocols. The environment is optimized for medical intervention." "Optimized for you, maybe, not for the patient." Sarah turned to Commander Yurval. "Let me try. What's the worst that happens? You're already planning to call someone else anyway." The commander's antennae quivered with uncertainty, then dipped in agreement. "Very well. But I am not authorizing this officially. If you are harmed, it is on your own decision." Sarah nodded and began making adjustments before Clixthar could protest further. She dimmed the overhead lights to a soft glow. She shut down the humming scanners. She asked the station's AI to pipe in ambient sounds, something resembling wind and distant water. "What are you doing?" Clixthar demanded. "How can you treat the creature if you cannot see it properly?" "I can see just fine," Sarah replied. Her species' visual range was actually quite limited compared to Clixthar's own, but she seemed confident. "Now comes the hard part. Drop the containment field." "Absolutely not!" Clixthar moved to block her access to the controls. "That creature will kill you." Sarah met his eyes, and Clixthar was struck by the calmness he saw there. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as a species of contradictions. violent yet compassionate, fragile yet resilient. And they had a reputation for an almost supernatural ability to bond with other species, even dangerous ones. "Trust me," Sarah said quietly. "This is what my people do." Commander Yorval overrode Klixthar's objection with a gesture. The containment field flickered and died. The Varanthi immediately lunged forward, and Klixthar scrambled backward, his survival instincts screaming. But Sarah stood her ground. She didn't run. She didn't raise her hands defensively. She simply stood there, relaxed and calm, as several tons of angry predator bore down on her. "Easy, buddy," Sarah murmured, her voice low and soft. "Easy now. Nobody's going to hurt you." The Varanthi stopped 3 feet away from her, its massive head tilted in confusion. Its nostrils flared as it scented her, trying to determine if this small creature was prey or threat. Sarah slowly crouched down, making herself smaller and less threatening. She kept her eyes slightly averted, not challenging the beast with direct eye contact. "That's it. You're okay. I know it hurts. I know you're scared. But you're okay." Klixathar watched in astonishment as the Varanthi's aggressive posture began to soften. Its ridge of spines, which had been standing erect in threat display, slowly lowered. Its breathing became less labored. "Good boy," Sarah continued in that same soothing tone. "Such a good boy. We're going to fix that hurt, okay? Going to make it better." She reached into her pocket and pulled out something. Klixthar's translator identified it as a compressed nutrition bar, standard human rations. Sarah broke off a piece and held it out, palm flat, not making any sudden movements. The Varanthi sniffed cautiously, then its long tongue darted out and took the offering. It chewed experimentally, then made a rumbling sound that might have been contentment. "Yeah, tastes weird, doesn't it?" Sarah smiled. "But food is food. Here, have some more." Over the next several minutes, Sarah slowly worked her way closer to the creature, offering bits of food and speaking in that calm, gentle voice. The Varanthi allowed her to approach, then to touch its scales, then finally to examine the wound that had brought it here. "Looks like a deep laceration from a sharp object," Sarah called out to Klixthar without taking her attention off the Varanthi. "Probably got into a fight or scraped against something in its enclosure. It's dirty. We'll need to clean it, seal the tissue, and give antibiotics to prevent infection." Yes. Those were my initial findings," Klixthar managed, still rooted to the spot where he'd retreated. "Then bring me what I need, Doctor. Let's save this beautiful creature's life." Klixthar found himself moving forward, despite his fear, carrying medical supplies with trembling limbs. Sarah guided him through the treatment, showing him how to move slowly and deliberately, how to maintain that soothing vocal tone, how to read the Varanthi's body language for signs of distress. The procedure took over an hour. Sarah cleaned the wound with careful precision, applied regenerative gel to promote healing, and administered broad-spectrum antibiotics. Throughout it all, she kept up a running monologue of gentle words, praising the Varanthi for its patience, apologizing when something caused discomfort. By the end, the massive predator was lying down with its head in Sarah's lap, making contented rumbling sounds while she scratched behind its auditory ridges. "There we go," Sarah said softly. "All done. You're going to be fine now." Commander Yorval approached cautiously. "I have never seen anything like this. How did you do it?" Sarah shrugged. "My people have been working with animals for thousands of years. We domesticated wolves into dogs. We befriended cats who chose to live with us. We've learned to communicate with species that have completely different ways of thinking. It's just what humans do." Klixthar stared at the peacefully resting Varanthi, then at the small human female who had accomplished in an hour what his advanced medical training had deemed impossible. "You spoke to it as if it could understand you." "Maybe it did, in its own way." Sarah stood carefully, not disturbing the resting creature. Not the words, but the intent. Animals respond to emotion, to energy. They know when someone means them harm or wants to help. You just have to show them you're a friend. Remarkable, Klixthar whispered. He had studied hundreds of species across dozens of worlds, but he was beginning to understand that humans possessed something unique. Not superior technology or greater intelligence, but an empathy that transcended species barriers. Sarah wiped her hands on her jumpsuit and grinned. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a coolant leak on Deck 7 that needs attention. Keep the lights low and play those nature sounds for another few hours. He'll be calm enough to transfer back to his habitat by morning. As she walked toward the door, Commander Yurval called out, "Dr. Chen, would you be interested in a position change? Our xenobiology department could use someone with your talents." Sarah paused and looked back at the Varanthi, now sleeping peacefully. "You know what? Yeah, I think I would." Klixthar watched the human leave, then turned back to his patient. The Varanthi's breathing was steady and strong. The wound was already beginning to show signs of healing. For the first time in his career, Klixthar understood that medicine was about more than protocols and procedures. It was about connection, compassion, and the courage to reach across the vast gulf between species and simply say, "Easy, buddy. I'm here to help." Perhaps humans weren't just good at fixing machines and systems. Perhaps they were uniquely suited to fixing the spaces between hearts, building bridges where others saw only walls. In a galaxy of countless species, each with their own strengths and specializations, humanity's gift was this: the ability to look at any creature, no matter how strange or dangerous, and see not a monster or a specimen, but a fellow living being in need of kindness. That evening, as Klixthar updated his medical logs, he added a note that would change the station's protocols forever. Human consultation recommended for all cases involving distressed or aggressive patients. Their approach, while unconventional, produces superior results. The Varanthi made a full recovery and eventually returned to its homeworld, one of the lucky few to help rebuild its endangered species. And Dr. Sarah Chen became the station's first official xenological veterinarian, proving that sometimes the best medicine isn't found in advanced technology or sophisticated drugs, but in a gentle voice and a willingness to say, "Easy, buddy, you're going to be okay."